In this empire, newborn baby girls were thrown into a river by their own parents. It was part of a brutal rafting competition, and no matter how much they struggled, no one dared to intervene. The parents simply cheered for them from the riverbank. The reason for this cruelty? The empire's grand mage had prophesied that the prince would die in a great calamity in 10 years. A chosen one, a girl who would sacrifice herself, could save him. And this rafting race was, for now, the only way to find her. From his palace, the emperor lowered his spyglass, his face etched with doubt. "Are you sure one of these useless crying infants can save my son?" he asked the grand mage. After the grand mage affirmed it, the emperor raised the spyglass again. Suddenly, a small figure in the crowd of bobbing baskets caught his eye. "Well, this little wretch is a bit different." "Your Majesty?" the grand mage asked, surprised. "Could it be that you've found the chosen one?" But as he prepared to congratulate the emperor on finding his new princess, the emperor's expression suddenly soured. "We'll see if she's worthy of being a princess of the Ethel Empire." He raised a hand, muttering a spell. A flash of light summoned a colossal dragon. With a single mighty breath, the dragon sent a massive wave crashing through the river, overturning countless tiny boats. Seeing their babies thrown into the water, most parents forgot all about the competition and dove in to save their children. After all, no prize was worth more than their own child. But there were exceptions. Anya's parents were one. They cared only about the race, not about whether she lived or died. Facing the danger, Anya didn't cry. She knew her useless parents couldn't be trusted, so she gripped the side of her little boat with all her might, refusing to be thrown into the water. The emperor watched the entire scene, a faint smile playing on his lips. He was very pleased with this little girl. "Interesting. She's the one." He waved a hand, ordering the dragon to bring her back. A moment later, the dragon snatched her up and carried her to the Imperial palace. While she was still dazed from being chosen, the emperor took her from the dragon's claws, held her up by the back of her clothes, and looked at her with disgust. "This little wretch is hideous." Anya's mouth twitched. "You jerk of an emperor, if your eyes are bad, go see a doctor. I'm as beautiful as a fairy, and you have the nerve to call me ugly." The emperor casually tossed Anya to the grand mage with an order. "Raise her for now. If she's useless in 10 years, I'll send her to the afterlife myself. Also, this palace doesn't support freeloaders. Once she turns 3, put her to work." The grand mage, holding Anya, was in disbelief. His Majesty had always despised women. Any woman who ever got close to him was personally sent to the afterlife, not even sparing the prince's own mother. But this time, he had actually touched the little princess himself. And just like that, Anya inexplicably became the sole princess of the Ethel Empire. She was given the name Anya Jin, sent to the princess's quarters, and assigned 2 maids. The 3 of them were the only females in the entire Ethel palace. The one with short hair and a gentle demeanor was named Shirley, and the other was Catherine. From the moment she arrived, Catherine spent all her time on her makeup, never once treating Anya like a princess. She only fed Anya milk once every 3 days, leaving the baby so hungry her stomach felt like it was stuck to her spine. She'd finally made it to the palace as a princess, only to be abused. Left with no choice, she had to pull out all the stops, crying, screaming, the whole 9 yards. Her performance successfully drew Catherine's attention. With a look of pure annoyance, Catherine picked Anya up and shoved a bottle into her mouth. "Drink! If you don't finish this whole bottle, I'll beat you to death!" she hissed, pinching the flesh on Anya's back hard. The pain brought tears to Anya's eyes, but she was helpless. She was just a baby, she couldn't fight back. Thankfully, Shirley reacted quickly, snatching Anya away. "Catherine, how could you? She's the princess." Catherine scoffed. "She's just some stray they picked up from a village. You really think she's a princess?" Lying in Shirley's arms, Anya studied Catherine. The emperor had reigned for years without a single woman in the palace. But now, suddenly, there were. Setting aside herself, who hadn't even hit puberty, and the sweet but simple Shirley, there was only Catherine with her curves, her waist, and her pretty face. She'd been granted entry into the palace, a privilege even the prince's own mother never had. No wonder she was so bold as to abuse her. She's probably dreaming of seducing the emperor, giving birth to a new prince, and living the high life, Anya thought. Just then, a group of figures passed by the window. Anya knew at once it was the emperor. An idea sparked in her mind. Since Catherine is so eager to climb into the emperor's bed, I might as well give her a little push. She took a deep breath, building up for her ultimate attack. The next second, she let out the loudest, most pitiful wail she could manage. Afraid the emperor might not hear, she even pushed the bottle out of her hands, letting it clatter to the floor. Her efforts paid off. The emperor was drawn over. "Why is the princess crying so loudly? Is this how you take care of her?" The 2 maids were terrified and immediately knelt to beg for mercy. Anya waved her little fists in excitement. "Right on time, you old jerk! No need to ask questions, just grab the bad one. Catherine, thinking fast, immediately threw the blame onto the kind-hearted Shirley. Shirley, how could you take care of the princess so poorly? You made her cry. Anya was so angry she almost laughed. I've seen shameless people, but this is a new level. The villain is playing the victim. She couldn't let Shirley take the fall. She immediately put on a tear-streaked, pitiful expression and let out a series of soft whimpers, hoping the Emperor would get the hint. Wanting to impress the Emperor, Catherine acted as if she were a natural with children and reached for Anya. This only made Anya wail louder, hoping her dramatic performance would get through to the thick-skulled Emperor. The Emperor snatched Anya up into his arms. This little wretch is so ugly, he grumbled, but his inner thought was different. This little one is quite interesting. She was screaming her head off, but the moment she's in my arms, she's so quiet. Anya glared at him. You big liar! Don't think I can't understand you just because I'm a baby. That look in your eyes clearly says you think I'm a little cute. You men are all the same, saying one thing and thinking another. Seeing the Emperor's gentle expression, Catherine saw her chance. She moved behind him and wrapped her arms around him, pressing her body tightly against his back. Your Majesty, if you like the princess, I could bear you one of your own. Hearing this, Anya did a dramatic flip in his arms, exposing her bruised back and gesturing wildly. Look, you old jerk, look, she pinched my delicate soft skin, it hurts so much. The Emperor's eyes went cold. Anya saw that he'd gotten the message and quickly covered her mouth to hide a smile. Your ticket's about to get punched, lady. It won't be long now. As expected, the Emperor grabbed Catherine's arm. You think you're worthy of bearing my child? Guards! Drag this shameless woman out. Dismember her and throw the pieces out of the palace. And just like that, Catherine was dragged away by the guards. Even then, she didn't seem to understand what was happening, still believing the Emperor had chosen her for the palace because he loved her. Huddled against the Emperor's chest, Anya picked her nose dismissively. Silly girl, you're so naive. The old jerk brought you here to take care of me, not to warm his bed. The Emperor turned back, his face full of scorn. Women are truly foolish, useless creatures. But a second later, he was gently wiping Anya's mouth. The contradiction made her roll her eyes. You're insulting all women while wiping my mouth? Aren't you conflicted at all? Suddenly, he glared at Shirley. If you get any improper ideas, I'll have you thrown to the dogs. Anya immediately balled her little fists and thumped him twice in protest. Shirley is a good person. Don't you dare hurt her, you jerk! Just as the Emperor looked down at her, her stomach let out an ill-timed grumble. He immediately understood and called Shirley over to feed the little princess. Resigned, Anya started drinking her milk. But just as she was getting into it, the Emperor lifted her up again, bringing her face to face with him. Anya clenched her fists and glared. What are you doing, you jerk? I'm not done eating. Don't move, the Emperor said. I'm healing you. He raised his hand and cast a healing spell. A steady stream of energy flowed toward Anya, and in the next second it was completely absorbed by her body. Anya herself was a little confused. Healing? I don't feel anything. The Emperor also looked shocked. How can this be? The healing magic had no effect? Unwilling to accept it, he increased the magical energy. Shirley panicked. The princess only has minor injuries. That much energy could harm her. But in the end, all of it was absorbed by Anya. All she felt was a cool sensation on her back. But the bruises didn't fade at all. The Emperor stared at her back in astonishment. Interesting. This terrified the little girl. Interesting. What does that mean? Emperor, that look in your eyes is seriously creeping me out. What are you planning? I'm just a baby. As a 1-year-old princess, all she did was spit on the Emperor's dragon, and she was demoted to a slave. For 3 years, she slept in the woodshed, did the heaviest chores, ate the worst food, and was bullied by the other princesses. One day, 3-year-old Anya was struggling to firewood when a large foot kicked her in the back. She fell hard and the firewoods in her arms scattered. A girl standing nearby mocked her with a saccharine sweet voice. Oh, my apologies. It's your fault for being as scrawny as a bean sprout. My guard didn't see you and accidentally kicked you like a little puppy. The little princess struggled to lift her head. The girl was Jasmine. After Anya had been thrown into the woodshed 3 years ago, the Emperor had adopted 3 more girls. What was most infuriating was that all 3 had their own palaces and countless servants. And the one before her, Princess Jasmine, was the Emperor's absolute favorite. Anya knew she was out of luck. She quickly scrambled to her feet and bowed in apology. It is my fault for being so small that I confused Sir Gareth. I hope I did not dirty his boot. In her heart, she silently swore that one day, everyone who had bullied her would pay. But even with her groveling, all she got was Jasmine pinning her against a wall and demanding she polish the guard's shoes. All of this was witnessed by the Emperor and the Grand Mage from a tower above. The Grand Mage felt a pang of sympathy for the sensible Princess Jin, but the Emperor's face was a mask of indifference. The weak deserve to be trampled. They aren't worthy of pity. Outwardly, the Grand Mage agreed, but inside he was thinking, this man, always saying the opposite of what he means. He talks so cruelly, but who's been losing sleep over that little girl for the past 3 years, sneaking to her bedside every night to check on her? As if afraid the Grand Mage had seen through him, the Emperor quickly offered an explanation. The only reason I watch her is because I'm afraid if she dies, there will be no one to save my son in 7 years. The Grand Mage just smiled without a word. His Majesty was protesting a little too much. Meanwhile, Shirley was trying to protect the little princess, shielding her with her own body. Jasmine ordered her guard to kick her harder. Anya's heart ached. Shirley, get out of the way, just let me clean his shoes or you'll be beaten to death. But Shirley refused. Even if you've lost your title, you are still a princess. How can you clean a guard's shoes? If word gets out, you'll never be able to marry. Seeing their deep bond, Jasmine smiled cruelly. Since you two are so close, I'll just send you both to the afterlife together. She then ordered the guard to use magic to kill them. The guard's hands glowed with a green light, and a giant green serpent materialized, coiling tightly around them both. As it squeezed, Shirley, though in agony, held the little princess tightly in her arms. From the tower, the Grand Mage couldn't watch anymore. He quickly reminded the Emperor beside him that they couldn't let Jasmine know about Princess Jin's ability to absorb magic, or their 3 years of planning would be ruined. But when he turned, the Emperor was gone. The moment he saw the guard use magic, the Emperor had leaped from the tower to save his little princess. He summoned his dragon, which lunged forward and tore the serpent to shreds. The guard instantly disintegrated into dust. Anya stared at the dragon in disbelief. Is the old jerk here to save me? Jasmine was stunned. When she saw the Emperor descend from the sky, she immediately ran to him, playing the victim. Father, someone killed Sir Gareth. The Emperor held her in his arms, his voice deceptively gentle. Don't be afraid. Father is here. It was then that Anya understood. Of course he was here for Jasmine. He only saved her because he didn't want anyone else to find out about her magic-absorbing ability. But then Jasmine pushed her luck, asking the Emperor to find Sir Gareth's killer so she could kill them herself for revenge. The Emperor's face instantly darkened. Are you asking me to kill myself? He threw her to the ground. Jasmine, for harming Princess Jin, you should be executed on the spot. However, since the guests from the Cadian Empire will be arriving soon, I will spare your life. But while you may escape death, you won't escape punishment. Guards, bring a servant's uniform for Jasmine. Give her clothes to Princess Jin. Anya was shocked. The Emperor is giving me the clothes of his former favorite princess? Is he trying to get me killed? If the other princesses find out that a little servant like me is wearing Jasmine's clothes, they'll tear me apart. And so the Emperor brought a freshly dressed Anya to the evening banquet. The guests assumed the girl in his arms was Jasmine. Many looked on with envy. Other princesses were brought in by their nannies, but she was carried by the Emperor himself. She truly was his favorite. Facing so many stares for the first time in 3 years, Anya felt a little nervous. Just then, the seated Emperor frowned at Jasmine, who was sitting nearby. Do you think you belong here? Before Jasmine could speak, he raised his hand and cast a spell. Jasmine was flung through the air, landing hard on the floor. Anya watched, dumbfounded. Wasn't Jasmine his favorite? Why was he being so brutal all of a sudden? What shocked her even more was when the Emperor gently placed her in Jasmine's former seat. This seat is more fitting for you, my dear Princess Jin. Everyone was stunned. She's Princess Jin? The one who supposedly sleeps in the woodshed? Wasn't Princess Jasmine the favorite? This is different from what our sources told us. Jasmine, who had been thrown to the floor, glared at Anya with pure hatred. It's all your fault father treated me like this. I'll kill you when I get the chance. Then the Emperor himself picked up a piece of meat and brought it to Anya's lips. Anya was taken aback. For the past 3 years, he had completely ignored her. Why was he suddenly so gentle? Was this another one of his schemes? The Emperor gently wiped Anya's mouth. Seeing her distracted expression, he asked, What are you thinking about, little one? Snapping back to reality, Anya quickly replied, Father, you must be tired. You don't need to feed me yourself. A servant can do it. The Emperor turned to Jasmine. Jasmine, you will serve Princess Jin her meal. The crowd was shocked again. Princess Jasmine was being made to serve Anya Jin like a common maid. The atmosphere in the room froze as all eyes turned to Anya. She felt incredibly awkward, managing only a stiff, polite smile. Jasmine pathetically tried to plead with her father, but all she got was an unyielding command. She had no choice but to serve Anya, muttering curses under her breath with every spoonful. Eat, eat, I hope you choke to death. Anya finally understood. The Emperor was deliberately painting a target on her back. After this banquet, the line of people wanting her dead would probably stretch from one end of the city to the other. Across the hall, Emperor Caspian of the Cadian Empire watched everything with cold eyes. His mission on this trip was to kill the Ethel Empire's most beloved princess. 3 days prior, his own Grand Mage had, after 3 years of scrying, determined that one of the 4 adopted princesses had the ability to summon ancient magical beasts. The world's last 3 magical beasts were sealed beneath the Cadian palace. If Emperor Kaiser was malicious, he could summon those beasts and destroy the Cadian Empire. For the safety of his empire, they had to kill that girl. Caspian had asked his mage if he could pinpoint which girl it was. Killing all 4 would surely drive the Ethel Empire to war. The mage had guessed that Kaiser would surely treasure such an important girl, so all they had to do was identify his favorite and eliminate her. Their intelligence had pointed to Jasmine, but tonight, Kaiser was deliberately fawning over Anya Jin, trying to make everyone believe she was his favorite in order to protect the real one, Jasmine. Caspian slammed his knife into his sandwich. Does he really think such a clumsy trick can fool me? Princess Jasmine is as good as dead. Just then, Kaiser noticed Caspian's eyes fixed on Jasmine. Seeing his plan had worked, he ordered Jasmine to leave. Jasmine desperately clung to his clothes, begging not to be sent away in front of everyone. But all she received was a single cold word: get out. Humiliated, Jasmine ran out of the hall sobbing. The guests began to whisper among themselves. Princess Jasmine was thrown out mid-banquet. This new Princess Jin must be quite formidable. Kaiser's face grew darker as he listened. He began to channel destructive magic into his hand, but a small hand reached out and gently grasped his, stopping the spell. He looked down to see Anya with a pitiful expression. Father, I suddenly feel unwell. I would like to go back and rest. She didn't want to see the Emperor kill someone at such an important event. It wouldn't hurt his reputation much, but it would make her the target of everyone's hatred. Better to make a strategic retreat. Caspian saw it all. Kaiser has killed countless people in his life, and no one has ever dared to stop him. This girl has some nerve. It seems I'll have to find an opportunity to get rid of her as well, before she grows up to become Kaiser's right hand. Meanwhile, a guard was escorting the little princess from the banquet. Suddenly, a murderous aura emanated from the nearby woods. The guard, Sirius, immediately pushed the princess behind him and cast a spell, sending a flock of crows toward the trees. But they were struck down before they even reached the woods. Knowing this was no ordinary assassin, Sirius told the little princess to stay put. I'm just going to clean up these annoying bugs, he said before dashing into the trees. A moment later, the sounds of fighting echoed from the woods, making Anya worry for the guard's safety. Just then, Jasmine's voice came from behind her. I knew you'd be here. Anya turned just in time to see a hand reaching for her. Jasmine grabbed her by the neck and tackled her to the ground. Anya Jin, you humiliated me today. I'm going to kill you. As they struggled, a sharp spike suddenly erupted from the ground behind them. It grew rapidly, piercing straight through Jasmine's back and continuing toward Anya. Just as it was about to hit her, Anya cried out in fear, What is that? Stay away! But the moment the spike touched Anya, it instantly dissolved. Her natural immunity to magic had saved her. Realizing the little princess's secret was exposed, the Emperor immediately summoned his dragon. The dragon opened its mouth and blasted the spike with freezing magic. With a sharp crack, the spike shattered and vanished. Jasmine coughed up blood and collapsed. Anya looked around frantically for help and saw the Emperor arriving on the scene. Father, Anya cried with relief. You're here to save us. Please look at Princess Jasmine. She's badly hurt. There's no need, the Emperor said coldly. She's already dead. With that, he raised a hand and knocked Anya unconscious. Just then, Sirius, having dealt with the assassins, returned. Seeing the scene, he realized he'd fallen for a diversion. He immediately knelt to beg for punishment. The Emperor tossed Anya to him. It's fine. Now, take this little wretch back to the woodshed. Just make sure she doesn't starve. Also, send word that assassins attacked the palace. Princess Jin was gravely injured and is unconscious, and Princess Jasmine was accidentally killed. Make sure Emperor Caspian hears this. Upon receiving the news, Caspian came to offer his condolences before preparing to depart with his people. Are you really going to let them leave like this? The Grand Mage asked, confused. The Emperor's face grew dark. He dares to kill my princess on my own territory. Do you think I'd let him go? He killed one of my princesses, so I'll kill a few of his princes to keep Jasmine company in the afterlife. Late that night, the Emperor once again snuck to the woodshed to check on the little princess. As if sensing his presence, Anya woke up. Seeing her awake, the Emperor tried to cast a sleep spell, but it was completely absorbed by her. He'd forgotten that magic had no effect on her. Anya sat up. Father, are you here to see me? The Emperor stubbornly denied it. Anya's head drooped in disappointment. Of course, Jasmine just died. The Emperor probably hates my guts right now. Why would he come to see me? Besides, if he really cared, why would he make me keep living in a woodshed? Just then, Shirley, who was sleeping nearby, began to cough violently. When she opened her eyes, she saw Anya looking at her with worry. Shirley reached out and stroked Anya's face. "Princess, I don't think I'm going to make it. You have to take good care of yourself from now on." She then pleaded with the Emperor to let Anya return to her proper chambers and be treated as she deserved. Anya was heartbroken. She immediately fell to her knees before the Emperor, begging him to save Shirley. Seeing him remain unmoved, Anya tugged at his sleeve, her voice cracking. "Father, can't you use your magic to heal her?" The Emperor's expression changed. He flung her away. "Insolent girl. How could my healing magic be used on a commoner?" The force of the shove sent Anya tumbling. Seeing this, the Emperor's heart immediately ached with regret. But even though it hurt, Anya held back her tears and forced herself to stand. She had to be strong. She once again grabbed the corner of his robe, begging him to save Shirley. She believed that if she was just a little more sincere, a little more adorable, she could move the heart of this stone-cold Emperor. Anya, desperate to save Shirley, had swallowed her pride and knelt before the Emperor, pleading for him to use his healing magic. She was sure that if she was sincere enough, cute enough, she could convince him. The Emperor finally relented. "While I won't heal her myself, I can find someone who will." With a flick of his wrist, he used teleportation magic to summon the sleeping Grand Mage. "Old man, wake up!" The Grand Mage woke up confused. "What's happened? Why has your Majesty summoned me at this hour?" When he learned he'd been brought here just to heal a maid, his eyes widened in disbelief. "I am a renowned scholar, revered by all. How can I be expected to heal a mere servant?" Just then, a small hand grabbed his. "Grandpa, you're so respected by everyone. You wouldn't just let someone die, would you?" Under Anya's earnest pleas, the Grand Mage finally agreed. But as soon as he began the spell, Shirley protested. "Lord Scholar, please stop. A lowly person like me is not worthy of your healing." "Be quiet, Shirley," Anya said, not allowing her to speak so humbly. "Everyone is born equal. There's no such thing as high or low birth. In my heart, you're the most important person. Just let the grandpa heal you. If you feel you owe him, you can repay him by taking good care of me from now on. I'll find a way to thank him myself." Her words not only moved Shirley to tears, but also captured the Grand Mage's heart. She truly is the chosen one. Her thinking, her poise, her charm, she's nothing like those spoiled, delicate princesses. In a short time, the Grand Mage had not only healed Shirley's injuries, but also strengthened her body, making her resistant to most physical attacks. The little princess beamed and thanked him profusely. But the Emperor, standing off to the side, was not pleased. With a cold snort, he turned and left. The Grand Mage hurried after him, endlessly praising how adorable Princess Jin was. But strangely, the Emperor said nothing. After walking a good distance, he finally spoke. "I helped save that maid too, so why did she only thank you and not me? And she said that maid was the most important person in her heart. Does that mean I rank lower than a common servant to her?" Seeing the Emperor's darkening mood, the Grand Mage quickly changed the subject. "Princess Jin has been in the palace for 3 years now. We brought her here to shield the prince from disaster. Shouldn't we arrange for the two of them to meet and build a bond? With a foundation of childhood friendship, it would seem more natural for the princess to willingly sacrifice herself for him later." The Emperor considered this. It made a certain amount of sense. But how should they meet? The Grand Mage suggested an accidental encounter during a picnic. They could stage a small crisis, and at the critical moment, Prince Zayn could swoop in for a heroic rescue. A hero saving the damsel in distress never goes out of style. As the Grand Mage got carried away with his own brilliant idea, the Emperor cut him off and told him to arrange the meeting for the next day. The next morning, Shirley took Anya to the royal garden for a picnic. Anya was annoyed. "I don't get what's wrong with the Emperor. Why order me to eat on the lawn? I'm just a servant who sleeps in a woodshed. What does it matter where I eat?" Not far away, the Grand Mage stood with the prince under a tree. "In 7 years," he explained, "you will face a great calamity that may take your life. Only that girl can save you, so you must build a good relationship with her now." The prince looked at the cute girl in the distance. "If she saves me, will she be in danger?" The Grand Mage didn't hide the truth. "The calamity in 7 years is terrible. The girl will have to sacrifice her own life to save you." The prince's expression immediately fell. Just then, a strong wind swept across the lawn, followed by a sudden hailstorm. Shirley quickly shielded the little princess with her body. Anya was baffled. How can it be hailing on such a nice day? She looked up and saw the Emperor's dragon hovering in the sky. "So father made it hail? Why, is he trying to kill me?" The Grand Mage urged the prince, "Quickly, go save the princess! If you do, she'll be grateful and more willing to sacrifice herself for you later." But the prince loudly refused. He didn't want anyone to die to save him. The Emperor grew angrier by the second. Such weakness! With a flick of his wrist, he used magic to pull the little princess over to him. He caught her and brought her before the prince. "This is my son Zane. Introduce yourselves." The emperor and the grand mage then made an excuse and quickly left the two children to bond. The first meeting was awkward. Anya secretly sized up the prince. He was cute, but he looked unhappy. Maybe she should break the ice. "Hi, my name is Anya Jin," she said, holding out a small hand. "It's nice to meet you." The prince shoved her hand away. "I don't permit you to get so close to me." He pushed her too hard, and Anya fell to the ground. The prince immediately looked flustered and wanted to help her up. The little princess suppressed her anger. "The emperor likes to hit people, and his son is no better. I want to punch him, but I can't. He's the prince. I have to hold it in." Anya smiled and said she was fine, telling him not to worry. She tried to get closer again. But the prince, determined to prevent her from sacrificing herself for him in the future, put on a fierce act. He shoved her away again and ran off, leaving Anya sitting on the ground completely baffled. This little prince is so mean. The truth was, he wanted to be friends, but he was too scared. The prince had been frail since birth, and everyone thought he wouldn't survive. But the emperor refused to give up, using his own magic to sustain his son's life for years. The Grand Mage had prophesied that he would die at age 11, but 3 years ago, he'd suddenly announced that a chosen one could save him. Only today did Zane learn that the price of his salvation was that girl's life. He would rather be a bad person than get close to her. He didn't want anyone to die for him. As the prince was wallowing in his sorrow, Anya caught up to him, her little fists clenched. She tackled him to the ground. "You call me a commoner? What does that make you? Are you so much better? Did you get to choose to be born a prince?" With that, she started punching him. It hurt, but the prince felt like she had a point. What really made him so much better than her? Just then, a cold voice came from behind them. "What are you two doing?" The little princess turned to see the emperor standing there, his face dark. She quickly got up. The emperor walked over and asked the prince if he was okay. The prince snuck a glance at the pouting princess. Then his face turned red as he said he was fine. The emperor knew his son's face always turned red when he lied. But he knelt down anyway and gently healed his son with magic. Anya was stunned. Is this the same cold, ruthless emperor I know? He has a gentle side? The sight of their father-son bond made Anya miss her parents from the 21st century, and her boyfriend Sean, who had been in the car crash with her. She wondered how they were doing. Before she knew it, tears were streaming down her face. A warm hand gently patted her head. "What's wrong? You hit my son and now you're scared?" The little girl panicked. "Oh no, I just beat up the prince of the entire empire. Is the emperor going to punish me?" Thinking fast, she turned on the waterworks, clutching her stomach and crying that it hurt. "If I pretend to have a stomachache, maybe he won't punish me," she thought. The emperor was amused. "You were so tough when you were hitting him. What happened?" But as soon as he spoke, Anya's expression changed. She collapsed to the ground, writhing in real pain. It felt like something inside her was trying to burst out. For a moment, even the emperor was at a loss. The prince, however, noticed something else. Anya's stomach seemed to be getting bigger. He panicked. Did I get her pregnant by hitting her? The emperor immediately used magic to diagnose the problem. But the next second, not only was his magic completely absorbed by the little princess's belly, but her stomach began to visibly swell. Accustomed to relying on magic, the emperor was at a loss. Without his powers, he felt helpless. Just then, a series of squeaks came from inside the princess's belly. The little girl was horrified. "Is it really a baby? I'm only 3. And even with my boyfriend Sean in my past life, the most we ever did was hold hands." As her stomach grew, the pain became unbearable. Anya felt like she was about to give birth and screamed in agony. Right before the emperor's eyes, there was a flash of golden light. Before he could react, a tiny panda cub had appeared. The prince stared in shock. "Father, look! That little girl gave birth to a puppy." The little panda glared fiercely at him and let out a series of squeaks as if to say, "You're the puppy. Your whole family are puppies." The prince stumbled back in fear. "That puppy is as fierce as its master." The emperor had already regained his usual cold and ruthless demeanor. He watched as the baby panda quietly crawled up to Anya and licked her cheek. "Interesting. I haven't even taught her magic, yet she's already manifested her own magical familiar. Since her magical talent is so strong, instead of me protecting her until she's 10, it would be better for her to learn how to protect herself." He gave an order. "Starting tomorrow, restore Princess Jin's status. She will study magic alongside Prince Zane." By the time the little princess woke up, it was night. She opened her eyes to see Shirley watching over her. Feeling dizzy and weak, she asked Shirley if she had some incurable disease. She also remembered her stomach getting huge and then giving birth to something. Shirley patted her head reassuringly. "Don't worry, you just passed out from magical exhaustion. And you didn't give birth to something? That was your magical familiar, who was just a little too eager to meet you." She held out the panda cub. "This is him." The little princess stared at the cute panda, confused. What's a magical familiar? Shirley patiently explained. A magical familiar is the physical crystallization of a mage's own magic. Every mage's familiar is unique, but most are animals. For example, Sir Sirius's familiars are crows, that guard of Princess Jasmine's was a snake, and His Majesty's is a dragon. Once a familiar is formed, it grows stronger as its master does. When it's powerful enough, it can protect its master. Anya finally understood. She reached out and stroked the little panda. So this is a magical familiar. It's so cute. If giving birth to it wasn't so painful, I'd want a whole soccer team of them. A mischievous thought popped into her head. I wonder if the old jerk cried when he gave birth to his dragon. I can't even imagine that stone-cold face twisted in pain. Just then, Shirley gently moved Anya's hand away from the panda. Princess, you need to drink your medicine first, then you can pet your cute little puppy. Lord Sirius said you won't get better without it. Anya obediently took the bowl of medicine. As she drank, she watched Shirley. Something was off today. Every other word out of her mouth was Lord Sirius. Could it be that those two? From a distance, the Emperor watched everything. The Grand Mage finally understood. So that's why His Majesty had Princess Jin move to this room. It has the perfect vantage point. That little wretch is so useless, the Emperor said, true to form. She nearly killed herself just manifesting a familiar. The Grand Mage indignantly defended Anya. The princess figured out how to summon her familiar without any instruction. She is a peerless genius. Inside, he was grumbling, Your Majesty is so powerful, but I don't recall you summoning your familiar at age 3. Our Princess Jin is the truly amazing one. The arrogant Emperor would never admit the little princess was a genius. She's far from a genius, he snorted, but the slight smile on his lips betrayed him. The Grand Mage watched the Emperor walk away, muttering, always saying the opposite of what he means. He's clearly so proud, but he has to act cold. He sighed. It had been so long he'd almost forgotten that His Majesty was once a smiling child. But after that incident, he never smiled again. He became a bloodthirsty demon, killing any woman who tried to get close, not even sparing Prince Zane's mother. But since the little princess arrived, His Majesty seemed a little less cold. She had a magical quality. Her smile could warm anyone's heart. The next day, Anya attended magic class for the first time, along with the other adopted princesses. She looked around curiously. The others seemed normal, but the blindfolded girl, Maeve, gave her a strange, indefinable feeling. Footsteps approached. It was their instructor, Professor Icarus. The Icarus family had been the Imperial family's magic tutors for generations, which had instilled in him a natural sense of superiority. In his eyes, teaching anyone other than the prince was a disgrace. When he saw that the new princess was another low-born adoptee, he sneered and immediately decided to put her in her place. Don't you know pets aren't allowed in class? It's so noisy. Without giving Anya a chance to explain, he cast a spell summoning a large snake. To everyone's horror, it lunged forward and swallowed the little panda whole. Anya couldn't believe it. The panda she had suffered so much to bring into the world was just eaten. Why did you kill my familiar? She screamed. And even if it was a pet, what kind of teacher just kills a student's pet? Icarus felt no remorse. How old are you? You think you can have a familiar? A commoner is a commoner. You can't even lie properly. Meanwhile, in the hallway, the Emperor was walking with a new teacher. He ordered the new teacher to train the children to become intermediate mages within a year, or he'd dock 10 years of his salary. The new teacher could only manage a pained smile. As they reached the classroom door, they heard Icarus's voice. I was personally appointed by His Majesty as the prince's tutor. In here, my word is law. I said no pets, so no pets. And do you know that no matter how I punish you, His Majesty won't blame me? Outside, the Emperor's face grew darker and darker. The new teacher was about to go in, but the Emperor stopped him. Not yet. Let's see what's happening. The two of them began to watch through the window, just like high school principals peeking in on a class. Inside, the injured prince stood protectively in front of the little princess, glaring at Icarus. A frightened Princess Celeste sat on the floor crying, but the blindfolded Maeve was perfectly calm. Now that you're done fighting, can we please continue class? Icarus, on the other hand, was a mess, lying pathetically on the floor. The new teacher was baffled. The Icarus family was known for producing elites. How could this one be so pathetic? And he was injured. Could the children have done it? It seemed impossible. How could they have the power to injure an adult mage? A small smile played on the Emperor's lips. Interesting. He walked into the classroom. Icarus, who injured you? Faced with the Emperor's questioning, Anya felt a pang of fear. Even though Zane was the prince, he would surely be punished for attacking a teacher. It was her fault, after all. As she was debating whether to cover for him, Icarus pointed a trembling finger at her. Your Majesty, it was Princess Jin who injured me. In Icarus's mind, it was simpler this way. He couldn't possibly tattle on the prince to the emperor. Besides, the prince only went berserk because of this little brat, so blaming her felt perfectly justified. The emperor feigned surprise and stared at the little princess. Anya Jin, did you injure Professor Icarus? Are you aware that he is not only Zane's teacher, but also the son of my own former mentor? Seeing the prince remain silent with his head down, Anya had no choice but to take the fall. She admitted she had hit the professor because he had eaten her familiar and she'd lost her temper. The emperor crossed his arms, skeptical. A 3-year-old child has the power to injure Professor Icarus like this? Anya nervously fiddled with her fingers and squeaked, yes. This old jerk is definitely playing dumb, she thought. He knows exactly what I'm capable of. I just hope he drops it and moves on. In truth, the emperor had seen everything. He was testing his son. But Zane just stood there, avoiding his gaze, showing no courage at all. How could he entrust the empire to him in the future? The emperor was deeply disappointed. Perhaps he needed to choose a new heir. Suddenly, he pointed at Icarus. Since you claim you hit him, then do it again, right in front of me. Icarus nearly coughed up a lung. Your Majesty, are you serious? Anya was just as stunned. Is he crazy? Did he hit his head on the way in? Just then, the prince finally spoke up. Father, please don't trouble her. It was all my doing. The prince's confession finally eased the tension on the emperor's face. It was a little late, but at least he had spoken up. He was salvageable, but it wasn't enough. The emperor turned his attention back to Anya. Anya Jin, show me how you hit Icarus, or I'll have you executed. Anya figured she was dead either way, and this teacher had killed her panda. She might as well take him down with her. Steeling herself, she charged at him, swinging her little fists and pummeling him. This is how I did it, she yelled, demonstrating for the emperor. Her punches landed squarely, making Icarus spit and sputter, but he didn't dare fight back in front of the emperor. How can a 3-year-old hit so hard, he wondered. Could her magic really have awakened? The public humiliation from this low-born brat was too much. He couldn't take it. Icarus secretly cast a spell, summoning a small snake that darted toward the little princess. The sudden appearance of the snake startled Anya and she froze. Just as it was about to bite her, the prince jumped in front of her, grabbing the snake by its neck. I'm the one who hit you, he shouted at Icarus. Don't you dare hurt her! The next second, the small snake transformed into a giant python, coiling around the prince. Anya, run! He cried out. Anya wasn't afraid of magic, but to play her part, she ran to the emperor, crying. She grabbed onto his boot, tears streaming down her face. Mother, save the prince! Her performance was truly heartbreaking. Of course, the emperor wasn't about to let anyone harm his son. He cast a freezing spell, turning the python into an ice sculpture. Anya watched in awe. He's so powerful. When will I be that strong? Then no one would dare bully me or Shirley ever again. With a loud crack, the python shattered into a million pieces. Anya rushed over to the prince, asking anxiously if he was all right. Though his attempt to be a hero was a bit reckless, she had to admit, he looked pretty cool standing up for her. The hero saves the damsel cliché was old, but sometimes it really worked. Meanwhile, Icarus was kneeling on the floor, begging for mercy, though inwardly, he wasn't worried. His family had been powerful for nearly 1,000 years. Even though he had hurt the prince, the emperor probably wouldn't punish him too severely. Anya glared at him, hoping the emperor would get rid of this creep for good. To her surprise, the emperor didn't kill him. He simply dismissed him as the prince's tutor and had him thrown out. Anya was confused. The old jerk didn't kill him? I guess Icarus's family must be a big deal. As Icarus was thrown out, he shakily got to his feet, a vicious look in his eyes. Kaiser, you humiliated me and stripped me of my position. You will regret this. The new teacher was just thinking how merciful the emperor was when he noticed a ruby on Icarus's necklace, an emblem of the Cadian royal family. He finally understood why the emperor had hired him. Icarus must have been a traitor all along. The only question was whether it was just him or his entire family. The prince had been gravely injured protecting the little princess. He knelt on the floor, coughing up blood, sending the emperor and his retinue into a panic. Even Princess Celeste, who had been crying in fear, stopped and rushed past Anya to Zane's side. As the emperor lifted the prince into his arms, a small rabbit, the prince's familiar, peeked out from his clothes. It had been trying to protect its master, but one glare from the emperor sent it into a dead faint, foaming at the mouth. The new teacher was speechless. That fluffy little rabbit is the prince's familiar? So weak. How will it ever protect him? It seems His Majesty has another thing to worry about. That evening, Anya and Shirley went to visit the prince. From down the hall, they could hear his coughing. Is he badly hurt? Anya asked Shirley worriedly. It sounds like he's coughing up a lung. Shirley knelt down and stroked Anya's head. The prince has been frail since birth, and now he's injured from saving you. From now on, you have to be nice to him. No more hitting. Anya could only offer an awkward smile. Shirley, you're making me sound like some kind of abusive husband. Inside the prince's chambers, the royal healer, Loki, was treating him. Anya walked over and saw the prince clutching his mouth, coughing uncontrollably. He even coughed up a bloody tooth. Anya was alarmed. He's that badly hurt, he's losing teeth. But the emperor seemed used to it. He wiped the blood from his son's mouth and said gently, "Don't worry. No matter how many teeth you lose, father can use magic to grow them back for you." Anya was floored. The emperor means he loses teeth often? Something clicked in her mind. She walked over to the prince and gently tilted his chin up. Pale face, listlessness, bruising under the skin, coughing up blood, losing teeth. The symptoms were all too familiar. But the next second, she felt several pairs of eyes staring daggers at her. She turned to see the emperor frowning and Loki looking annoyed. "The princess is examining the prince so closely," Loki sneered. "Has she discovered something? Where did this brat come from?" he thought. "She's interfering with my work. Why hasn't His Majesty had her executed?" Anya calmly bowed to Loki. "Grandpa, I'd like to try treating Prince Zane. Would that be all right?" As a transmigrator from the modern world, Anya was almost certain the prince had scurvy. All he needed was more vitamin C. But she was only 3 years old. No one would believe her if she just said it. She could only hope they'd let her try. Loki was so angry he trembled. "Where did you come from, you little stray? How dare you speak to me with such disrespect? Your Majesty, I demand you execute this impudent girl at once, or I cannot continue treating the prince." The emperor didn't believe her either and pulled her away. "Show some respect. This is the top magical healer in the Empire. He hasn't been able to cure him in 3 years. What could a 3-year-old possibly know?" Undeterred, Anya ran back. She flattered Loki, saying he must be very powerful, before posing a question. "But is it possible that the prince's illness has nothing to do with magic?" Loki was furious. "Nonsense! There is nothing magic cannot solve. Besides, he used a combination of magic and ancient medicine. How dare this girl question his skills?" It was outrageous. Why hasn't the emperor killed her yet? Anya quickly agreed that magic was powerful, but she pointed out that, according to historical texts, humans had only possessed magic for about 10,000 years. Before that, people had many ways to treat illnesses, like dietary therapy and psychological treatments, which were tailored to the specific ailment. "So I believe what Prince Zane needs may not be a magical cure. What do you think, Grandpa Loki?" Loki was stunned into silence. Did those words really come from a 3-year-old? "When I was 3, all I knew was how to play with mud." The emperor was also shocked. "Those history books are so boring even I have to force myself to read them. How did she memorize them at such a young age? This child is interesting." And so the emperor decided to let her try. "But if the prince's condition doesn't improve within a month, I will not be lenient with you." Loki was horrified and fell to his knees. "Your Majesty, please reconsider. The prince's health is no trivial matter." Just then, a quiet voice came from the bed. "I believe her." The prince slowly walked over to Anya. "You'll cure me, right?" Anya froze for a second, then nodded firmly. "Your Highness, it's a bit late tonight. I'll start your treatment tomorrow, if that's all right." Loki sighed, looking at the 2 children who had made up their own minds. What am I to do with these kids? Shirley was terrified. She spent the night packing their bags, ready to risk her life to sneak the little princess out of the palace. "Don't worry," Anya told her. "I can definitely cure the prince." Shirley knew the princess she'd raised was brilliant, but this was the prince they were talking about. Even someone as skilled as Loki had failed. How could a girl who had only read books with no practical experience possibly succeed? "These past 3 years have been hard," Anya said, comforting her. "If I cure the prince, we can have a good life. I don't want to go back to being bullied, and I don't want you to be hurt because of me." Tears welled up in Shirley's eyes, and the 2 hugged each other tightly. All of this was observed by the emperor and the Grand Mage. "If the prince's condition doesn't improve in a month," the Grand Mage asked, "will you really kill Princess Jin?" "No," the emperor replied without hesitation. The Grand Mage was surprised, thinking for a moment that His Majesty had finally realized he was deeply fond of the little princess. But then the emperor added, "In 7 years, she still has to sacrifice herself to save Zane. Therefore, she cannot die yet." The Grand Mage was speechless. "Your logic is flawless, Your Majesty. I can't even argue." Just then, the emperor asked, "That little wretch said she's read many books. Why do I know nothing of this?" The Grand Mage explained. "For the past 3 years, you've gone to her bedside every night to check on her. She's known about it for a long time. To avoid you, she started coming to me every morning to learn how to read. In these 3 years, she's read every book in my personal library." The emperor was stunned, but there was more. The little princess could talk from the moment she was born. 3 years ago, when she was first sent to the woodshed, the Grand Mage had snuck in to see her. She had caught him and demanded he teach her to read, calling it gaining knowledge. Later, she started coming to his library on her own. She had a photographic memory, a book that took the Grand Mage half a month to read. She could finish in a day. By now, the Emperor was numb with shock. An interesting little wretch indeed. My daughter is so brilliant and I, her father, knew nothing about it. Meanwhile, in the Cadian Empire, Emperor Caspian kicked his son to the ground. You useless waste, he roared. In the Ethel Empire, Anya, Jin, and Zane manifested their familiars at 3 and 4, and you're 7 and still haven't managed it. Prince Kalen endured the pain, slowly picking himself up and kneeling. I am useless. I have disappointed you, father. This only angered Caspian more. He summoned a 9-tailed fox with a flash of magic. Get out of my sight, he bellowed. Kalen silently rose and left. He was the 17th prince of the Cadian Empire, and he was also a transmigrator. A car crash had sent him and Anya to this magical world. When he first arrived, the original owner of his body couldn't handle the immense magic within, and had lost control, killing his own mother. The soul of the original Kalen had shattered, allowing him to take over easily. When Caspian found the carnage, he wasn't angry. Instead, he saw potential, so much power at such a young age. He will surely unite the world one day. But years of failing to manifest a familiar had led to constant beatings. What no one knew was that Kalen had actually manifested his familiar at age 3. He just hadn't told anyone. His familiar was his own adult self. He kept it a secret because he didn't want to become a puppet for his tyrannical father. For now, it was better to hide his true strength. But he was intrigued to hear that others had also manifested familiars at such a young age. He decided to sneak out of the palace and see these prodigies for himself. However, the moment he breached the magical barrier over the Ethel Palace, the Emperor immediately sensed the intrusion. Instead of attacking, he sent a telepathic message, summoning the intruder to him. Kalen was surprised he'd been discovered so quickly, but he had no choice but to go. When the Emperor saw that the intruder was just a boy, he asked him if he had a death wish. Kalen, of course, said no, but the Emperor ignored him. Since you want to die, I'll make it quick. He summoned his dragon and attacked. Kalen barely dodged the strike. Realizing he was outmatched, he used the chaos to escape. The Emperor looked at the blood on the ground and smiled faintly. This young man is interesting. In a hidden corner of the palace, Kalen coughed up blood. His magic depleted, he reverted to his child form. He couldn't believe how powerful the Ethel Emperor was. Caspian was a fool for even thinking he could kill him. But that wasn't important right now. He needed to find a place to hide. He didn't notice the small spectral dragon claw latched onto his boot. The 3-year-old princess, trying to use a toilet for the first time in her little life, was nearly crushed by a boy falling from the sky. She was so shocked she couldn't move. Just as he was about to hit her, the boy used the last of his magic to create a shield, protecting her at the last second. Anya stared at the boy who was now sitting nearby, grimacing in pain. Who is he? She wondered. I didn't know Prince Zane had a brother. But before she could ask, there was a loud crack. She turned to see her toilet, her beautiful porcelain toilet, shattered and leaking everywhere. Anya's heart broke. That was one of only 2 toilets in the entire palace. Most mages didn't need them. A simple cleansing spell was all it took. My toilet! You died a tragic death. Kalen was dumbfounded. What is wrong with this girl? She almost died, and she's crying over a toilet. For safety, he decided to get the wailing girl out of there. Just then, the dragon claw on his boot tightened. He realized he was being tracked. The Emperor would be here soon. He had to get it off. Anya instantly recognized the claw as belonging to the Emperor's dragon. That meant this boy was a bad guy, and the Emperor wanted to kill him. What are you still doing here? Kalen suddenly snapped at her. Get out of here before I decide to silence you permanently. He was actually worried the Emperor would arrive and hurt her. She looked like an ordinary person with no magic. He just wanted to scare her away, since Kaiser had a habit of killing any female who got too close. Seeing Anya just stand there, Kalen conjured another spell to frighten her. He didn't know she was immune to magic. Though the spell didn't affect her, she pretended to be scared, wanting to see if this boy was really a bad person. A few steps later, she staged a dramatic trip and fall. As she went down, her hand brushed against the dragon claw. The irremovable tracking spell instantly dissolved into energy and was absorbed by her. Anya understood immediately. I can only absorb the Emperor's magic. This boy's magic doesn't affect me, which means he doesn't mean me any harm. He's not a bad guy. Kalen stared at the vanished claw, stunned. It must be a coincidence. This girl doesn't even know basic magic. How could she absorb something like that? My fire spell must have burned it off. As he was lost in thought, Anya's voice piped up. Hey, what are you staring at? Help me up! I fell and it hurts! Kalen snapped out of it and helped her to her feet. Just then, a voice called out from the distance. Princess, are you there? Please answer me. It was Shirley. She had woken up to find Anya gone and had brought Sir Sirius to help her search. She was on the verge of tears with worry. Sirius gently reassured her that the palace wasn't that big and they would find her. Staring at the handsome and kind Sir Sirius, Shirley froze, blushing. Hiding behind a corner, Anya watched them and grinned. My silly Shirley is about to be stolen away by a handsome man. Not wanting to worry them any longer, she stepped out. Shirley rushed over and hugged her tightly. Anya comforted her, explaining that she had just gone to the bathroom and didn't want to wake her. Sirius smiled at the touching scene, but then he sensed something was wrong. He whirled around and stared at the corner. "Who's there?" he shouted. Anya's heart leaped. Oh no, is he going to find the boy? But the person who stepped out was Icarus. Sirius frowned. "What are you doing here so late?" Icarus scratched his head. "His Majesty just dismissed me, and I was feeling down, so I went for a walk. I didn't mean to interrupt your date." Shirley's face turned bright red, and she was about to deny it, when Sirius cast a spell without a word. With a loud bang, the wall Icarus was leaning against exploded. Anya and Shirley stared at the rubble, their hearts sinking in unison. Now our toilet is truly gone for good. Icarus, however, was filled with rage. "How dare he? I was the prince's tutor. This Sirius is just a mere guard and he dares to attack me. The Ethel Empire is no longer worthy of my loyalty.